There are stories people tell to scare each other. And then there are stories that refuse to die because something inside them still feels alive. Annabelle's story is one of those. It began in the early 1970s, not in a crumbling mansion or a graveyard, but in an ordinary apartment shared by two young nurses, Donna and Angie. They were kind, practical, and far from the kind of people who believed in haunted dolls. But evil rarely asks for belief before it begins its work. Donna had received the doll as a birthday gift from her mother, a vintage Raggedy Ann, soft and harmless looking, with her stitched smile and bright red yarn hair. The kind of doll meant to bring comfort. It sat quietly on Donna's bed, a simple decoration, a sentimental piece from childhood. But within days, the doll started to move. At first, it was subtle. Its head turned slightly when no one had touched it. Its arms shifted positions between morning and night. Angie thought Donna had been playing a prank, but Donna swore she hadn't moved it. Soon, both of them began to notice. The doll never stayed where they left it. It appeared on the couch one evening, then by the door the next, and sometimes even in different rooms entirely. The girls laughed it off at first. Maybe they were just forgetful. Maybe one of them had moved it without realizing. But the laughter faded when they started finding handwritten notes scattered around the apartment. Small slips of parchment paper that neither of them owned, with messages written in childlike scrawl. Help us. Help Lou. That's when fear replaced confusion. They began to feel watched, not in the way a person feels eyes on them, but in a deeper, heavier sense, like something unseen was waiting for them to notice it. Angie's boyfriend, Lou, was the first to say what they were both thinking, but too afraid to admit. Something was wrong with that doll. Lou hated the thing. He said it gave him nightmares, dreams where the doll crawled up his chest and tried to choke him. He'd wake up gasping for air, the echo of small, cold hands pressing against his neck. One night, Donna came home and found the doll sitting on her bed, legs crossed, hands in its lap. But this time, there was something else. A few small drops of what looked like blood on the back of its hand, and 3 smears across its chest. There was no source for it. The doll's fabric was dry, the stains were fresh, and the air in the room felt thick, suffocating, as though someone had just left. That was when they called for help. A medium was brought in. She conducted a seance in the apartment, and what she claimed to uncover made the air grow colder. The spirit, she said, belonged to a 7-year-old girl named Annabelle Higgins, who had once lived on the property before the apartment complex was built. The girl had died there under tragic circumstances. She said she felt comfortable with Donna and Angie, that she wanted to stay with them, to be loved, to be cared for. Moved by sympathy, the 2 nurses agreed to let Annabelle stay in the doll. They told her she could remain with them, that they would take care of her. That single act of kindness, of misplaced compassion, changed everything. Because the thing inside that doll was not a child. After that night, the activity escalated. Lou began to experience terrifying sleep paralysis, unable to move as the doll appeared closer to him with each passing night. Objects around the apartment began levitating. Doors slammed. Growls echoed through the halls. Once, Lou entered the apartment when Donna wasn't home, hearing strange noises from her room. As he approached, he felt a cold pressure on his chest. Then, 3 burning scratches appeared across it, deep, painful, and bleeding. There was no one there. Only the doll, slumped in the corner, its head tilted as if amused. That was the last straw. Donna and Angie contacted the local church, desperate for help. The case was quickly referred to Ed and Lorraine Warren, 2 names that would become legendary in the world of paranormal investigation. When they arrived, the Warrens didn't waste time. Ed explained that there was never a child spirit. The entity inside the doll was demonic. It had deceived them by pretending to be innocent, a clever manipulation meant to gain their trust. Once invited, it had attached itself to the doll and used it as a conduit. Its goal was simple: to possess a human soul. Lorraine described the doll as radiating darkness, not metaphorically, but in an almost tangible way. She said the evil presence surrounding Annabelle was unlike anything she had ever felt. The Warrens performed an exorcism on the apartment and took the doll into their custody, believing they could contain it. But even under their care, Annabelle didn't rest. In the Warrens' home, she was placed inside a specially built glass case, inscribed with the words, "Warning, positively do not open." Still, strange things happened. The doll seemed to shift positions, even within the locked case. Visitors who mocked it or dared to touch the glass often left with tragic consequences. One young man reportedly died in a motorcycle accident hours after doing just that. Lorraine later said that the doll carried an aura of pure malice, not because it was powerful on its own, but because it was connected to something far worse, something ancient, something that used fear itself as fuel. And that's the real horror of Annabelle. It wasn't the doll that was dangerous. It was what moved through it. The doll was a vessel, a mask. Evil doesn't need a monstrous face. Sometimes it hides behind stitched smiles and button eyes, waiting for someone kind enough to invite it in. Today, Annabelle still sits in that glass case in the Warrens Occult Museum in Connecticut. Visitors who come too close often say they feel dizzy, lightheaded, or cold, like the air has been sucked out of the room. Some claim they've seen her head tilt ever so slightly, or her eyes seem to follow them as they walk away. And maybe it's just imagination. Maybe it's the weight of a story that's been told for decades. But those who've stood in that room, who've looked at her through the glass, swear it's something more. That she's still waiting, patient, silent, watching. Because if history has shown anything, it's this: Annabelle doesn't sleep. She never has. And she never will.